Hey guys, tonight we journey back over 5,000 years to the sun-scorched plains of ancient Sumer, where the air shimmers with heat and the Tigris River glints like a lazy serpent. Picture yourself stirring in a cramped mud brick hut, sweat already beading on your skin as the dawn hammers through gaps in the reed walls. This is Mesopotamia, cradle of civilization, home to the world's first cities, cuneiform writing. And here's the kicker, people who climbed onto their roofs to sleep. Trust me, you probably wouldn't survive a single day dodging the desert sun and the local wildlife just to catch a nap. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always wild to see who's drifting off with us across the globe. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're in Sumer, around 3000 BCE, and the day begins with a jolt. No gentle alarm clock here, just the sun blasting through the woven reed door, turning your hut into a clay oven. You're sprawled on a thin mat, not on the floor, but elevated slightly on a low bench to avoid the scorpions that love to scuttle across the dirt. Your blanket, a scratchy wad of woven flax, smells faintly of dust and yesterday's lentils. You blink, groggy, as the heat presses down like an overzealous wrestler. This is no cozy bedroom. It's a one-room hovel where you, your family, and a few persistent flies share space. The walls, made of sun-dried mud bricks, are crumbling in spots, and the air is thick with the scent of baked earth and something suspiciously like goat. Your first task is to survive waking up. You swing your legs off the bench, careful not to step on a stray clay pot or your cousin's sandal. The floor is packed dirt. Cool for now, but destined to turn into a skillet by noon. You're already sweating through your linen kilt, which, let's be honest, hasn't been washed since the last lunar festival. Cleanliness is a luxury here, and water from the Tigris is for drinking or irrigating crops, not for splashing on your face like some fancy Babylonian noble. You rub your eyes, trying to shake off the fog of a dream about a river god who looks suspiciously like your neighbor. Historians still argue whether Sumerians believed dreams were divine messages or just last night's barley stew talking. A quirky fact, Sumerians sometimes slept with small clay figurines under their mats, believing these tiny guardians could ward off evil spirits. Imagine tucking a lumpy statue next to your foot for good luck. It's like clutching a fidget spinner for spiritual protection. Outside, the city of Uruk hums to life. Donkey carts creak. Vendors shout about their figs, and the temple ziggurat looms in the distance, its stepped silhouette a reminder that the gods are always watching. You're not a priest or a scribe, so no cushy temple gigs for you. You're a farmer, maybe a potter, and your day is about to get hotter, dustier, and a lot less forgiving. But tonight, you'll escape this oven of a house. You'll climb to the roof, where the desert breeze and a flimsy mat promise a sliver of relief. Why the roof? Well, that's the question we're unraveling. One sleepy step at a time. You stumble toward the door, dodging a basket of dried reeds. Your stomach growls, but breakfast is hours away first. You need to fetch water from the canal before the sun turns it into a warm bath for flies. Your roof mat, rolled up in the corner, catches your eye. It's nothing fancy, just woven reeds tied with flax. But it's your ticket to surviving the night. You're already dreaming of that cool, starry escape. But the day's work looms like a cranky overseer. Sumerian life is no picnic. It's a marathon of sweat, prayers, and hoping the gods don't smite you for forgetting to offer them a fig. So, You take a deep breath, step into the blinding sunlight, and brace for a day that's as relentless as a tax collector's knock. You're trudging back from the canal, a heavy clay jar balanced on your shoulder, water sloshing with every step. The sun's already climbing, turning the dusty paths of Uruk into a griddle. Your mind drifts to tonight, when you'll escape this furnace of a city by climbing onto your roof to sleep. Why do Sumerians do this? Why abandon the relative safety of four walls for a precarious perch under the stars? It's not just a quirky habit. It's a survival tactic born of necessity, ingenuity, and a touch of cosmic wonder. Let's unravel this rooftop mystery, step by sweaty step. As you navigate another blistering day in ancient Sumer, the main reason you sleep on the roof is simple heat. By midday, your mud brick hut traps warmth like a potter's kiln, making indoor sleep about as appealing as cuddling a baked brick. Downstairs, the air is stagnant, heavy with the scent of yesterday's stew and your cousin's unwashed sandals. But up on the roof, the desert night offers a fleeting gift, a cool breeze that sweeps across the flat, open space. Historical records, like those from later Mesopotamian texts, confirm that summer temperatures in Sumer could hit 138 degrees Celsius or more. At night, though, the mercury drops, sometimes into the 70s, turning the roof into a natural air-conditioned oasis. You're not just escaping heat, you're chasing relief, like a weary traveler hunting for shade. But it's not only about temperature. There's a quirky tidbit here. Sumerians believed the night sky was a divine canvas, painted with messages from the gods. Sleeping under the stars wasn't just practical, it was spiritual. Priests in Uruk's ziggurats tracked constellations, linking them to harvests or omens. By dozing on your roof, you're closer to that celestial realm, maybe even hoping for a divine whisper in your dreams. Historians still argue whether this was a widespread belief or just a poetic excuse for not sweating through your mat indoors. Either way, the stars feel like old friends when you're up there, their faint glow a reminder that Enlil, the sky god, might be watching. You pause to wipe sweat from your brow, nearly spilling the water jar. The roof isn't some luxury penthouse. It's a flat, mud-plastered square atop your hut, barely big enough for your family to sprawl out. You've seen wealthier folks with fancier setups, reed canopies, or even cloth awnings, but yours is just open to the elements. The mat you'll sleep on tonight is rolled up in the corner of your hut, a simple weave of river reeds that's as comfortable as a pile of straw. Which is to say, not very. You chuckle, imagining a modern mattress commercial. Try our Sumerian reed mat, guaranteed to leave you stiff by sunrise. Getting to the roof is its own adventure. Most homes, like yours, have a rickety ladder made of lashed-together wood, creaking under your weight. Some fancier houses boast external staircases, but that's for scribes or merchants. Not you. You've fallen once, scraping your knee on the way down, and the memory makes you wince. Safety isn't exactly a Sumerian priority. Your roof has no railings, just a low lip of mud to keep you from rolling off in your sleep. You've heard tales of neighbors who weren't so lucky, tumbling into the courtyard and waking up with a broken arm and a bruised ego. There's a social angle, too. Roofs in Uruk are communal hubs at night. After the day's toil, you'll join neighbors up there, swapping stories about the market or the latest temple gossip. It's like a block party, but with more dust and fewer snacks. You might even spot a passing priest, muttering prayers to ward off night demons. The roof isn't just a bed, it's a stage for Sumerian life, where heat, stars, and community collide. You shift the jar, feeling the ache in your shoulders. The day's work tending barley fields or hauling clay awaits. But your mind lingers on that rooftop promise. A cool breeze, a starry sky, and a mat that's marginally better than sleeping on a donkey. As you head toward the fields, you pass a vendor hawking dried fish, his voice hoarse from shouting. You smirk, thinking of the fishy smell that'll linger in your hut tonight. Another reason to flee to the roof. The desert sun beats down, and you're already dreaming of dusk, when you'll climb that creaky ladder and collapse under the vast Mesopotamian sky. But first, you've got a long, sweaty day to survive. The roof is your reward, a fleeting escape from a world that's as relentless as a tax collector's scroll. You're slogging through the barley fields now, the sun scorching your back as you bend to yank weeds from the cracked earth. Your water jar, carefully hauled from the canal, sits in the shade of a lone palm, but it's already warm, tasting faintly of silt. The thought of tonight's rooftop escape keeps you going, that promise of a cool breeze and a reed mat under the stars. But to understand why you're so desperate to flee indoors, let's step inside your Sumerian home, where the heat, the clutter, and the sheer lack of space make sleeping downstairs feel like a punishment from an annoyed god. Your hut is a modest affair, one of thousands in Uruk's sprawling maze of mud brick dwellings. It's a single room, maybe 10 by 12 feet, with walls of sun-dried clay that crumble if you lean too hard. The roof, flat and plastered with more mud, doubles as your bedroom, but we'll get to that later. Inside, the air is thick, trapping the day's heat like a wool blanket you can't shake off. Historical records, like those from the Epic of Gilgamesh, describe Sumerian homes as functional but cramped, designed for survival, not comfort. You share this space with your spouse, 2 kids, and a goat that's supposed to be outside but keeps sneaking in to nibble your grain stash. The goat, you swear, has a personal vendetta against your sanity. The floor is packed dirt, swept daily, but still gritty under your bare feet. Furniture is minimal, a low wooden bench for sleeping, a couple of clay pots for storing barley, and a woven basket overflowing with reeds. Your prized possession, a small bronze knife, hangs on a peg, less for cooking, more for scaring off rats. There's no window, just a reed door that lets in light, dust, and the occasional curious lizard. Ventilation. Forget it. The air smells of sweat, lentils, and that goat, who's now eyeing your sandal like it's lunch. You mutter a half-hearted curse, then laugh, calling it a Sumerian aromatherapy session might make it bearable. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some Sumerians kept tiny clay house gods in wall niches, believing they'd protect the home from evil spirits. Yours is a lumpy figurine with a chipped nose, and you're not sure if it's working or just judging your housekeeping skills. Historians still argue whether these figurines were genuine religious icons or just decorative knickknacks, like the ancient equivalent of a tacky souvenir. Either way, you give it a quick nod as you grab a broom to shoo the goat out. The heat is the real enemy. By noon, the walls radiate warmth, turning your hut into a slow-cook oven. You've tried sleeping inside during summer, but it's like napping in a potter's kiln. The bench, where you sleep when it's too rainy for the roof, is hard and narrow, barely fitting you and your spouse. The kids curl up on mats nearby, their snores mingling with the buzz of flies. You've woken up more than once with a beetle crawling across your arm, which is why you've nicknamed your hut Insect Inn. Privacy doesn't exist every snore. Argument or midnight trip to the latrine is a family affair. Speaking of latrines, there's no indoor plumbing. Your bathroom is a shallow pit outside, screened by a reed mat that fools exactly no one. You dig a new one every few weeks, praying the neighbors don't complain about the smell. Water for washing comes from that jar you hauled, but it's too precious for daily baths. You wipe your face with a damp cloth, dreaming of the day you're rich enough for a proper basin like those snooty scribes. For now, you're stuck with what you've got, a dusty, sweaty, goat-infested box that's home. As you head back to the fields, you glance at the roof, its mud surface baking under the sun. It's not much, but it's your escape hatch. Down here, the hut is a trap hot, crowded, and buzzing with pests. Up there, you'll find space, air, and a view of the stars that makes you feel, for a moment, like you're not just a farmer, but part of something bigger. You smirk, imagining a modern real estate ad cozy Sumerian hut. 0 amenities, rooftop views included. The day's work drags on, but the promise of that mat and breeze keeps you moving. One weary step at a time, you're back in the fields, your hands caked with dirt as you scatter barley seeds under the relentless Sumerian sun. The air hums with flies, and your kilt sticks to your thighs like a clingy creditor. The thought of tonight's rooftop nap is your only solace, that reed mat, that fleeting breeze, those stars. But getting there isn't just about climbing a ladder. In ancient Sumer, sleep comes with its own rituals, a mix of practical prep and superstitious safeguards to ensure you wake up without a demon sitting on your chest. Let's walk through your evening routine, where every step is a dance between survival and the divine. As dusk settles over Uruk, the heat finally eases, and you trudge home, your water jar sloshing half empty. The first step in your sleep ritual is securing the hut. You push the reed door shut, wedging it with a stick to keep out stray dogs or nosy neighbors. Historical tablets from Uruk, like those detailing daily life, show Sumerians were obsessive about nighttime security, not just from thieves, but from supernatural threats. You check the clay figurine in its niche, that chipped house god you nodded to earlier. It's supposed to ward off Lamashtu, a demon who snatches babies in the night. You're not sure you believe it, but you mutter a quick prayer anyway. Just in case. Better safe than waking up to a mythological eviction notice. Next, you prep your body. No hot showers here, water's too scarce. You dip a rag in the jar and wipe the dust from your face and arms, grimacing at the gritty texture. For a quirky twist, some Sumerians rubbed their skin with sesame oil, believing it repelled evil spirits. You tried it once, but it just attracted more flies, so you stick to the rag. Your spouse is already rolling out the roof mats, and the kids are bickering over who gets the least lumpy one. You chuckle, thinking of a modern spa ad, Sumerian skincare grit. Sweat and a prayer for no scorpions hygiene is basic, but it's enough to make you feel marginally human before bed. Now, the ritual turns spiritual. You light a small oil lamp, its flicker casting shadows on the mud walls. Sumerians believed the night was alive with spirits, and you're not taking chances. You sprinkle a handful of barley at the door as an offering to Enki, the god of wisdom, hoping he'll keep your dreams free of omens. Historians still argue whether these offerings were daily or reserved for festivals. But in your house, it's a habit your mother drilled into you. The barley's cheap, and peace of mind is priceless. You also check your amulet, a clay bead etched with a crescent moon, worn to protect against night terrors. It's probably just a trinket, but it feels like a shield when the dark gets too quiet. Time to eat. But we'll save the details for later. Spoiler: it's not a feast. After a quick meal, you grab your mat and head for the ladder. The climb is slow, your legs aching from the day's labor. You pause halfway, glancing at the ziggurat's silhouette against the twilight. Priests up there are probably chanting to the moon god, Nana, while you're just trying not to drop your mat. You smirk, imagining a Sumerian sleep app, guided chants to appease cranky deities. The roof is cool under your feet, the mud still warm but no longer scorching. You unroll your mat, placing it near the edge for maximum breeze, and lie down. The kids already sprawled nearby. One last ritual, you whisper a phrase to the stars, a half-remembered prayer your grandmother taught you, asking for a safe night. The The breeze carries the scent of the Tigris, and you feel the day's weight lift, just a bit. Sleeping on the roof isn't just practical. It's a moment of connection to the sky, the gods, and the neighbors snoring on their own roofs. You've done all you can to prepare. The lamp's out, the door's secured, the barley's offered. Now you close your eyes, hoping the gods are in a good mood and the demons are on vacation. The stars twinkle above, and you drift. One breath closer to tomorrow's grind. You're lying on your reed mat, the roof's mud surface still radiating a faint warmth beneath you as the desert night finally takes hold. The air is cooler now, a gentle breeze slipping across Uruk's rooftops, carrying the distant croak of frogs from the Tigris. The stars above glitter like scattered barley grains, and for the first time all day, you feel like you can breathe. This is why you sleep up here, not just to escape the stifling hut below, but to trade the day's heat for the soothing embrace of starlight and open sky. Let's sink into this moment, where the desert's nighttime magic transforms your rooftop into a fleeting sanctuary. The temperature drop is a gift from the gods. Historical records from Mesopotamian weather observations, etched on clay tablets, note that Sumerian nights could dip into the low 70s degrees, around 21 degrees C, a stark contrast to the daytime blaze that roasted you in the fields. Downstairs, your mud brick hut is still a sweatbox, its thick walls hoarding the sun's heat like a miser with gold. Up here, the breeze is your blanket, brushing away the day's grime and soothing your sunburned shoulders. You shift on the mat, which crinkles under your weight, hardly a cloud, but better than the lumpy bench inside. You smirk, imagining a Sumerian mattress salesman. Reed mats so thin, you'll feel every pebble. The stars are more than just a pretty view. They're a cultural obsession. Sumerian priests, perched on ziggurats, mapped constellations to predict floods or wars, believing the heavens spoke in patterns. You're no priest, but lion ear. You can't help but trace the same shapes: a bull, a scorpion, a cluster that looks suspiciously like your neighbor's bad haircut. A quirky tidbit: some Sumerians thought falling stars were messages from Inanna, the goddess of love and war, signaling either a blessing or a cosmic tantrum. You hope it's the former, but with Inanna's temper, you're not betting your last barley ration on it. Historians still argue whether these celestial beliefs influenced sleep habits, or if the roof was just the only place not hotter than a potter's kiln. The breeze picks up, rustling your kilt, and you pull the flax blanket closer, its scratchy weave a reminder of your loom-weaving aunt who swore it was luxury. The night feels alive, not just with the hum of crickets, but with a sense of openness you never get inside. Downstairs, the hut's walls close in, the air heavy with the goat's latest mischief and your kid's snores. Up here, the world stretches wide. The city's rooftops, a patchwork of sleeping families under the same sky. You spot a flicker of lamplight. From a nearby roof, someone's probably arguing over who ate the last fig. You chuckle, thinking of your own family's squabbles, like when your spouse blamed you for the goat's escape. Classic Sumerian drama, you mutter, but it's not all peace and starlight. The desert night brings its own challenges. The breeze can turn chilly, and you've woken up shivering more than once, clutching your amulet like it could summon a campfire. Then there's the wildlife bats swoop low, and you've heard tales of snakes slithering onto roofs. Though you've never seen one, you glance at the mat's edge, half expecting a serpent to RSVP to your nap. The open sky also means exposure. A sudden rain, rare but brutal, could send you scrambling down the ladder, mat in tow, cursing the gods for their lousy timing. Still, these risks feel worth it for the relief of cool air and the illusion of freedom. You roll onto your side, the mat crunching like a stale loaf, The stars seem closer now, their light softening the day's aches. You think back to that clay figurine in your hut, the one you prayed to before climbing up. Maybe it's working, keeping the demons at bay. Or maybe it's just the breeze making you feel safe. Either way, you're grateful for this rooftop haven, a place where the desert's heat gives way to a night that's almost kind. Your eyes grow heavy, the city's hum fading into a lullaby of wind and distant dogs. Tomorrow's another grind, but for now, you're just a speck under the Sumerian sky, drifting towards sleep. You're nestled on your reed mat, the cool night breeze whispering across the rooftop as Uruk's skyline fades into shadow. The stars twinkle above, and the distant murmur of the Tigris lulls you toward sleep. But even in this fleeting calm, you're not alone. Your neighbors are up here too, their own mats spread across nearby roofs, turning the city into a patchwork of open-air bedrooms. This isn't just a private nap, it's a social affair, where gossip, laughter, and the occasional snore weave through the night. Let's dive into the communal life of Sumerian rooftops, where the line between neighbor and night owl blurs under the Mesopotamian sky. As you settle in, you hear voices drifting from the next roof over. It's your neighbor, Enki-Du, regaling his family with a tale about a shady merchant who tried to sell him a sacred clay pot that looked suspiciously like his own missing one. His wife laughs, loud enough to startle a passing bat, and you can't help but grin. Historical records, like cuneiform tablets from Uruk, describe Sumerian cities as tightly knit, with rooftops serving as communal spaces after dark. Families didn't just sleep up here to beat the heat. They bonded, argued, and swapped stories under the stars. It's like a neighborhood watch, but with more barley beer and fewer flashlights. The social vibe is lively, but not chaotic. You spot a few other roofs lit by flickering oil lamps, casting shadows as people share dried figs or mend sandals. A quirky tidbit: some Sumerians played board games at night, like the royal game of Ur, a dice-based race found in ancient graves. You've lost a few barley rations, betting against Enkidu's uncanny luck, and you're still convinced he's hiding extra dice in his kilt. Historians still argue whether these rooftop gatherings were daily or reserved for warm months. But judging by the chatter tonight, it feels like a summer tradition. You mutter a mock complaint about Enkidu's loud storytelling, chuckling at the thought of a Sumerian quiet hours law. Your own family is sprawled nearby. Your spouse is whispering to the kids, pointing out constellations: a lion, a chariot, maybe a grumpy god's face. The kids giggle, their voices soft but piercing, and you shush them half-heartedly, knowing they'll be snoring soon. Space is tight. Your mat is wedged between your spouses and a clay jar you forgot to bring downstairs. You're used to this closeness, but it's a far cry from the sprawling beds of modern dreams. You imagine a real estate pitch. Prime rooftop lot, cozy vibes, comes with free neighbor gossip. The intimacy fosters connection. Though, you overhear your spouse recounting the day's market drama. A vendor overcharged for onions, sparking a heated debate. You nod, adding your own grumble about the price of reeds. The community isn't just about chatter. There's a practical side. Neighbors keep an eye out for trouble thieves, stray animals, or the rare drunk who might wander too close to a roof's edge. Last month, Enkidu's cousin nearly rolled off after too much barley beer, saved only by a quick grab from his wife. You glance at your own roof's low mud lip, barely a handspan high, and make a mental note to stay sober tonight. The breeze carries a whiff of someone's cooking fire, mingling with the river's earthy scent. It's a reminder of the hut below, that stuffy box you fled for this open-air refuge. You're grateful for the company up here, even if it means dodging Enkidu's tall tales. But it's not all cozy camaraderie. Rivalries simmer. You've heard whispers of feuds over stolen water jars or who gets the best roof spot for stargazing. And then there's the noise someone's always coughing, arguing, or worse, singing off E. You roll your eyes, picturing a Sumerian noise complaint tablet. To the overseer, stop Belit's midnight lullabies. Still, this rooftop society is what makes the night bearable. It's not just about escaping heat, it's about sharing the weight of Sumerian life with others who get it. As the voices soften and the lamps dim, you feel the city settling into sleep. A collective exhale under the vast sky. Your mat crinkles as you shift, the stars blurring as your eyelids droop. You're stretched out on your reed mat. The rooftop's cool mud soothing your aching back as the night breeze drifts over Uruk. The chatter from neighboring roofs has quieted, leaving only the soft hum of crickets and your spouse's gentle snores. The stars above feel like a blanket of light, but your comfort hinges on the flimsy mat beneath you, a marvel of Sumerian ingenuity, or maybe just desperation. Let's explore the bedding tech that keeps you from sleeping on bare mud, where practicality meets the kind of discomfort that makes you dream of modern mattresses. Your mat is a simple affair, woven from river reeds harvested from the Tigris's muddy banks. It's about as thick as your thumb, flexible but prickly, with a texture that's less cozy and more grumpy hedgehog. Historical evidence from Sumerian archaeological sites, like the city of Ur, shows that reed mats were a staple for both sleeping and sitting, cheap to make and easy to replace. You unroll it each night, shaking out dust and the occasional beetle that's decided to homestead. It's not much, but it's better than the baked mud roof, which feels like lying on a potter's wheel after a long day. You smirk, imagining a Sumerian infomercial, reed mats now with 50% less splinters. The mat's design is practical but punishing. Reeds are cut, dried, and woven tightly with flax cords, creating a surface that's durable but far from plush. Wealthier Sumerians might layer their mats with wool or linen, but you're stuck with the basic model. It's portable. At least you roll it up each morning and stash it in the hut, safe from rain or nosy goats. A quirky tidbit: some mats were dyed with plant extracts, like indigo or madder root. To signal status, yours is plain, sun-bleached beige. But you've seen a merchant's mat with a fancy red stripe, and you're not above a little mat envy. Historians still argue whether dyed mats were purely decorative or held ritual significance, maybe linked to offerings for the moon god. Nana, comfort isn't the mat's strong suit. You shift, feeling a reed jab your hip, and adjust your flax blanket, which is less a blanket and more a suggestion of one. The mat's slight bounce is its only redeeming feature, cushioning you just enough to avoid waking up with a spine like a bent sickle. You've tried piling straw underneath for extra padding, but it attracts ants faster than a spilled jar of date syrup. You chuckle, picturing a Sumerian sleep guru preaching straw-free serenity. The roof itself helps. Its flat, mud-plastered surface is smoother than the hut's dirt floor, which is pocked with pebbles and goat hoof prints. Then there's the blanket, a coarse weave of flax that smells faintly of the loom it came from. It's thin, barely keeping the chill off when the breeze turns brisk, and you've patched it so many times it's more mend than material. Some nights, you skip it entirely, letting the starlight warm your soul if not your skin. You envy the priests, who reportedly sleep on cushioned pallets in the ziggurat's shade, probably dreaming of divine tax exemptions. Your kids, sprawled nearby, don't seem to mind the mats they're already out, one clutching a clay toy that looks vaguely like a frog. You're not sure if it's a toy or another house god your spouse insists on keeping. The tech isn't just about the mat, it's about placement. You've learned to position yours near the roof's edge for maximum breeze, but not so close you risk rolling off like Enkidu's cousin after that barley beer fiasco. The low mud lip around the roof is your only guardrail, and it's about as reassuring as a promise from a shady fig vendor. You glance at the ladder, a rickety stack of lashed wood, and make a mental note to check its ropes tomorrow. For now, the mat is your world, a thin barrier between you and the hard reality of Sumerian life. The stars pulse above, and you feel a flicker of gratitude for this small, scratchy refuge. Sleep is close, but the night's still young, and Uruk's rooftops are alive with quiet dreams. You're sprawled on your reed mat, the rooftop's cool mud a faint comfort as the night breeze weaves through Uruk's sleeping city. The stars above burn bright, but their light feels watchful, almost judgmental, as if the gods themselves are peering down. In ancient Sumer, the night isn't just a time for rest, it's a realm ruled by deities and haunted by demons, where sleep is as much a spiritual gamble as a physical necessity. Let's slip into the divine and eerie world of Sumerian night gods, where your dreams might be divine messages or a one-way ticket to a demon's bad side. As you settle into your mat, the prickly reeds jabbing your side, you can't shake a faint unease. Sumerians believed the night belonged to gods like Nana, the moon deity who sailed his crescent boat across the sky, and Utu, the sun god who rested in the underworld after dusk. But it's the lesser spirits that keep you on edge, demons like Lamashtu, who prowls for sleeping children, or the restless ghosts of unburied dead. Historical texts, like Sumerian incantation tablets, describe elaborate rituals to ward off these night terrors, with priests chanting to banish evil spirits before bedtime. You've already sprinkled barley at your door for Enki, but you clutch your crescent moon amulet, its clay warm against your chest, just in case. A quirky tidbit: some Sumerians hung wind chimes made of baked clay near their roofs, believing the sound confused demons trying to sneak in. Yours is a simple string of chipped beads, clinking softly in the breeze, and you're not sure if it's working or just annoying the neighbors. You smirk, imagining a demon filing a noise complaint with the local priest. Too much chiming. Can't haunt properly. Historians still argue whether these chimes were religious tools or just early Mesopotamian mood music, but they make you feel safer. Even if it's just a placebo for the soul, the gods don't just protect, they demand attention. Nana, with his silvery glow, is said to judge your dreams, sending omens if you've slacked on offerings. You've heard tales of farmers dreaming of flooding rivers, only to wake and find their fields swamped. Last week, your cousin swore he saw Inanna in a dream, waving a spear, which he took as a sign to avoid the market's shifty fig vendor. You're skeptical, but you whispered that prayer to Nana before lying down, asking for a dream that's more bountiful harvest than angry goddess. The night feels heavy with divine presence, and you wonder if that chipped house god in your hut is pulling its weight. You picture it slacking off, sipping barley beer while Lamashtu sneaks past. Demons aren't the only threat. The Sumerians believed sleep left your soul vulnerable, drifting partway to the underworld. That's why you wear the amulet and keep the lamp's flicker low. It's not just light, it's a beacon for your soul to find its way back. You glance at your kids, curled up on their mats, their breathing steady. You've tucked their own tiny amulets under their blankets, a parental reflex as old as Uruk itself. The breeze carries a whiff of river mud, grounding you, but the stars seem to pulse with secrets. You're no priest, but you feel the weight of the divine up here, closer to the heavens than in your stuffy hut. The social hum of the rooftops has faded, though you hear Enkidu's wife muttering about a missing sandal, probably blaming her husband's dice game antics. You chuckle, grateful for the normalcy it pulls you back from thoughts of prowling spirits. Still, you can't fully relax. The gods are fickle, and a bad dream could mean a bad omen, like losing your barley crop or worse, your goat, you imagine a Sumerian self-help scroll. 10 ways to appease Nana and avoid demon drama. For now, you focus on the breeze, the clink of your chimes, and the hope that your prayers hold. The mat crinkles as you shift, the stars blurring as sleep creeps closer, carrying you toward a night where gods and demons might just leave you alone. You're nestled on your prickly reed mat, the rooftops cool mud a small mercy under the vast Sumerian sky. The breeze carries the tigress's earthy scent, and the stars pulse like divine gossip overhead. Your neighbor's wind chimes clink faintly, a hopeful shield against night demons. But you're more focused on staying put on this crowded roof than fending off Lamashtu. To reach this starry haven, you had to navigate Uruk's labyrinthine streets and climb a creaky ladder, a journey that's as much a part of your nightly ritual as praying to Nana. Let's wander through the urban sprawl of ancient Sumer, where every dusty alley and mud brick corner leads you back to your rooftop escape. Uruk is a buzzing hive, one of the world's first cities, sprawling across the Mesopotamian plain like a clay tablet scribbled with ambition. Historical records, like cuneiform texts from 3000 BCE, estimate Uruk housed tens of thousands, its streets a chaotic blend of merchants, scribes, and stray goats. You start your evening trek from the barley fields, your sandals slapping against packed dirt as you weave through narrow alleys. The streets are barely wide enough for 2 donkey carts to pass, and they're lined with mud brick huts like yours, their flat roofs forming a jagged skyline under the ziggurat's looming shadow. The air smells of baked clay, grilled fish, and the ever-present tang of canal water. Navigating Uruk is no stroll in the reeds. The streets twist without warning, and there's no signage. Sumerians didn't believe in street names, apparently. You rely on landmarks, the potter's stall with its chipped jars, the corner where that cranky dog always barks, the canal bridge where Enkidu once dropped a sandal and blamed the gods. A quirky tidbit, some Sumerians marked their doorways with clay seals, not for mail delivery, but to signal their trade or status. Your hut has a crude fish scratched into the wall, a nod to your uncle's fishing days, though you're not sure it impresses anyone. Historians still argue whether these markings were practical or just early branding. Like a Mesopotamian logo for Farmer Bob's mud hut, you dodge a vendor hawking date syrup, his voice hoarse from shouting, and sidestep a pile of what you hope is just mud. The city's pulse slows at dusk, but it never stops. Lamps flicker in doorways, and priests chant from the ziggurat, their voices carrying like a lullaby for the gods. You pass a tavern, its barley beer fumes tempting, but you've got a roof to reach. The final stretch is your street, a cramped lane where kids play with clay balls and neighbors gossip about the latest temple tax. You spot your hut, its roof barely visible above the others, and feel a flicker of relief. You're almost there, away from the heat and chaos below. The ladder awaits, a wobbly stack of lashed wood that creaks like it's auditioning for a haunted house. You sling your mat over your shoulder, the flax blanket tucked under your arm, and start the climb. Each rung groans, and you grip tighter, remembering that time you slipped and bruised your shin. You mutter a mock prayer to Enki for sturdier carpentry, chuckling at the thought of a Sumerian safety inspector shaking his head. The roof is small, barely enough space for your family, but it's yours. You unroll the mat, the reeds crunching, and glance at the ziggurat, its silhouette a reminder of Uruk's divine heartbeat. The city below settles into night, the streets now quiet save for a distant dog's bark. You're high above the dust and clamor, the rooftop a sanctuary from Uruk's relentless grind. The breeze cools your sunburned skin, and you feel the day's weight lift, like shedding a heavy kilt. Your spouse is already up here, fussing over the kids' mats, and you nod, grateful for this shared escape. The stars wink, and you lie back. The mat's familiar jabs a small price for this open sky freedom. Sleep is close, but Uruk's echoes linger, tying you to the city even as you drift. You're perched on your reed mat, the rooftops cool mud a quiet relief as Uruk's night wraps around you like a flax blanket. The stars gleam, the breeze hums, and your neighbor's wind chimes clink in the distance, warding off demons or just annoying Enkidu's wife. Before you can surrender to sleep, though, there's one last hurdle: dinner. In ancient Sumer, a meal isn't a gourmet affair, it's a gritty refueling stop, just enough to get you through another day of sun and sweat. Let's dive into the sparse, chewy, a world of Sumerian cuisine, where every bite prepares you for the rooftop retreat that's now just moments away. You climb down the creaky ladder, careful not to wake the kids already dozing above, and duck into your hut. The air inside is still heavy, smelling of dust and that goat who's probably plotting another escape. Your spouse is crouched by the hearth, a small fire crackling under a clay pot. Dinner is the same as always: a bowl of barley porridge, thickened with lentils and a few wilted onions from the market. Historical records, like cuneiform tablets from Ur, detail Sumerian diets heavy on grains, with barley as the backbone, cheap, filling, and versatile enough to feed a city. You scoop the porridge into a wooden bowl, its texture somewhere between glue and regret, and settle on the dirt floor, swatting a fly that's eyeing your meal like it's a five-star buffet. The taste is functional. No spices here, saffrons for priests, and salts locked away like a noble's gold. You've heard of fancy dishes like roasted fish or date-stuffed bread, but those are for temple feasts, not your table. A quirky tidbit: Sumerians sometimes fermented their barley into a sour, chunky beer bread hybrid called sikaru, which doubled as a meal and a drink. You've got a clay cup of it tonight, warm and faintly fizzy, like drinking a liquid loaf. It's safer than canal water, which could have you praying to Enki for a new stomach by dawn. You smirk, imagining a Sumerian food critic bold sikaru notes, with a hint of existential dread. Historians still argue whether sikaru was a daily staple or a special treat, but it's keeping you alive. So you're not complaining. The meal is quick, eaten with your hands since spoons are for scribes with too much time. Your spouse mutters about the onion vendor's prices, and you nod, chewing a gritty bit of barley that's probably half millstone. The kids, already fed, are up on the roof, their giggles drifting down like a reminder of why you endure this grind. You think back to that clay figurine in the wall niche, the one you prayed to for a demon-free night. Maybe it's pulling double duty, keeping your porridge rat-free too. You finish the bowl, rinse it with a splash of water too precious for washing dishes, and grab your mat and blanket. The roof calls, its promise of cool air outweighing the lingering taste of lentils. Back up the ladder you go, the wood creaking under your weight. You pause, catching a whiff of someone's cooking fire probably. Enkidu grilling fish, he swears he caught himself. You roll your eyes, picturing his epic fishing tail growing taller with each sikaru cup. The roof is quiet now, the city's hum fading as families settle in. You unroll your mat, the reeds crunching, and spread the blanket. Its patches a map of your wife's sewing skills. The meal wasn't much, but it's fuel, a small anchor tying you to another day. You lie back, the stars sharper now, and feel the day's weight settle into your bones. The porridge sits heavy, the sikaru's faint buzz softening your edges. Sleep is close, but you savor this moment: the breeze, the open sky, the absence of the hut's stifling heat. You think of that barley offering you left for Enki, hoping it buys you a night without bad dreams or worse. A visit from that goat. The roof is your refuge, the mat your throne. And for now, Uruk's grind feels a warm away. The stars wink, and you close your eyes. The city's heartbeat fading into the night's gentle pulse. You're settled on your reed mat. The rooftop's cool mud cradling your tired frame as Uruk's night hums softly around you. The stars twinkle like divine gossip, and the breeze carries the tigress's muddy scent, mingling with the faint tang of your Sakaru-soaked dinner. Your family is sprawled nearby, your spouse muttering about tomorrow's chores. The kids already snoring, one clutching that frog-shaped clay toy you're still not sure is a god or a plaything. Space is tight up here, and sleeping with kin on this cramped roof is less cozy family bonding and more like a game of human Tetris. Let's unpack the dynamics of sharing this starry perch, where elbows, snores, and the occasional goat-related grudge shape your night. The roof is small, barely 10 feet square, and fitting your family is a logistical puzzle. Your mat is wedged against your spouse's, the kids' mats squeezed in at angles to avoid the roof's low mud lip. Historical records from Sumerian household inventories, etched on clay tablets, suggest families often slept in close quarters, with roofs doubling as communal beds in summer. You're used to the lack of privacy. Your hut's one room offers no secrets. And up here, every sigh or midnight mumble is public domain. You shift, the reeds crunching, and nudge your spouse's elbow out of your ribs. Plenty of sky, not enough roof. You grumble, half laughing at the thought of a Sumerian zoning law for rooftop sprawl. The kids are the wild cards. Your eldest, a wiry 7-year-old, sprawls like a starfish, claiming half the space, while the younger one curls into a ball, clutching that toy like it's a divine shield. You've already tripped over their water jar, left carelessly in the middle, and you're tempted to lecture them but settle for a sleepy glare. A quirky tidbit: Sumerian parents sometimes tied small bells to kids' ankles at night, believing the jingle would scare off demons or at least wake you if they wandered too close to the edge. You tried it once, but the constant tinkling drove you madder than any spirit, so you stick to tucking their amulets tight. Historians still argue whether these bells were common or just a fad among paranoid parents, but you're not risking another sleepless night. Your spouse is no saint either. They're muttering about Enkidu's wife, who borrowed a reed basket and never returned it, a feud that's been simmering since the last lunar festival. You nod, half listening, your mind drifting to that chipped house god downstairs, probably smirking at your domestic drama. The roof's closeness amplifies everything: grudges, snores, even the kids' dreams of chasing goats. You chuckle, imagining a Sumerian sitcom rooftop rivalries, starring Enkidu's sticky fingers. But there's warmth in this chaos. Your family's presence, annoying as it is, grounds you. You're not alone under these stars, and that's worth more than a bigger roof. Space isn't the only challenge. The breeze, while cooling, can turn chilly. And your patched flax blanket barely covers you both. You've learned to sleep in a tight huddle, sharing warmth like a pack of desert foxes. The kids press close, their breathing a soft rhythm against the city's distant hum. You glance at the ladder, that rickety path to safety, and hope no one needs a midnight latrine run last time. Your eldest nearly toppled it, waking half the street. The roof's mud lip offers little protection, and you've heard tales of sleepers rolling off, though Enkidu swears it only happens to overbeard fools. You're sober tonight, thankfully. The Sikaru's buzz long faded. The social hum of neighboring roofs has quieted, though you catch a snippet of Enkidu's wife scolding him about that missing sandal again. You smile, grateful for the normalcy it drowns out thoughts of Lamashtu or bad omens. Your family's quirks, from the kids sprawling to your spouse's grudges, make this roof feel like home, not just a heat escape. You adjust the blanket, tucking it over the kids, and lie back. The mat's jabs a familiar ache. The stars blur, and you feel sleep creeping in. A gentle pull stronger than the day's grind. Your family's warmth, the city's pulse, and the sky's vastness weave together, carrying you toward dreams where, hopefully, no goats make cameos. You're curled on your reed mat. The rooftop's cool mud a quiet anchor as Uruk's night hums around you. The breeze dances over your patched flax blanket, and the stars above glitter like divine whispers, pulling you toward sleep. Your family snores your spouse's low rumble. The kids' soft wheezes blend with the distant croak of tigress frogs. But as you drift, your mind lingers on dreams. Those slippery nighttime visions Sumerians believed carried messages from the gods or warnings of doom. Let's slip into the ethereal world of Sumerian dream beliefs, where every snooze might be a divine DM or a cosmic prank, shaping your rooftop slumber. As you close your eyes, the mat's prickly reeds jabbing your side, you can't help but wonder what tonight's dreams will bring. In ancient Sumer, dreams weren't just random brain static, they were portals to the divine. Historical texts, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, describe dreams as messages from gods like Enki or Inanna, guiding heroes or foretelling floods. You're no hero, just a farmer with a cranky goat. But you've heard tales of neighbors that are dreaming of river serpents, only to find their fields swamped days later. Last week, your cousin swore he saw a winged bull in his sleep, a sign he took to mean, buy more barley. You're skeptical, but you whispered that prayer to Nana before climbing the ladder, hoping for a dream that's more bountiful harvest than angry deity audit. A quirky tidbit, Sumerians sometimes slept with clay tablets inscribed with protective spells under their mats, believing they'd steer dreams toward good omens. You don't have one, tablets are for scribes. Not you, but you've got that crescent moon amulet, warm against your chest, and you hope it's doing the job. Historians still argue whether these dream rituals were widespread or mostly for priests. But in your family, it's tradition to mutter a quick plea before dozing. You smirk, imagining a Sumerian dream app tap here for Inanna's 5-star omen package. Dreams could be warnings. To Lamashtu, that demon you've been dodging with barley offerings and wind chimes, might sneak into your sleep, leaving you sweating and clutching your chipped house god. Your spouse stirs, muttering about Enkidu's wife and that borrowed basket, a grudge that's probably fueling her dreams right now. You chuckle, picturing her dreaming of a cosmic court where Inanna sentences Enkidu to eternal dishwashing. The kids are out cold, one still gripping that frog-shaped toy, maybe dreaming of chasing goats through Uruk's alleys. Sumerians believed children's dreams were purer, closer to the gods. So you hope their sleep is full of winged bulls, not serpents. You've had your own strange dreams last month. You saw a river of stars, which your aunt swore meant good fishing. The fish were underwhelming, but you're still holding out for a divine PowerPoint on crop yields. Dreams also carried practical weight. Priests in the ziggurat, those lofty types with cushy palates, interpreted dreams for a fee, linking them to harvests or wars. You can't afford their services, so you rely on family lore. Your grandmother's rule was fish dreams mean rain, bull dreams mean debt. You're not sure it's science, but it's better than nothing. The breeze shifts, cooling your sunburned arms, and you feel sleep tugging harder. You think back to that barley you sprinkled for Enki, hoping it buys you a night of clear omens, not cryptic riddles. The roof's openness makes dreams feel closer to the gods, as if Nana's moonlight is beaming straight into your soul. The city's hum fades, leaving only the breeze and your family's breathing. You glance at the low mud lip, a flimsy guard against rolling off, and make a mental note to stay still, lest you dream of flying and wake up in the courtyard. You imagine a Sumerian sleep clinic. Avoid rooftop tumbles with our patented mud brick pillow. The stars blur, and you let go, trusting your amulet and prayers to keep the demons at bay. Dreams are coming, and whether they bring gods, bulls, or just last night's Sikaru-soaked porridge, you're ready to face them, one sleepy vision at a time. You're nestled on your reed mat, the rooftop's cool mud a faint comfort as Oryx night wraps you in its starry hush. The breeze hums, carrying the tigress's muddy scent, and your family's snores weave a soft rhythm, your spouse's low grumble, the kids' gentle puffs. The stars above pulse like divine eyes, and you're half drifting into dreams, hoping for a godly omen and not a rerun of that goat chasing you through Uruk's alleys. But sleep on this roof isn't all celestial bliss. The open air brings risks, falls, critters, and the odd chance of rain turning your mat into a soggy pancake. Let's explore the perils of rooftop slumber, where every creak of the ladder and rustle in the dark keeps you on edge. Lying here, the mat's reeds jabbing your hip, you're acutely aware of the roof's edge, just a few feet away. That low mud lip, barely a handspan high, is your only guardrail, and it's about as reassuring as a promise from that shady fig vendor. Historical records from Mesopotamian legal tablets mention accident sleepers rolling off roofs, breaking arms or worse. Last year, Enkidu's cousin took a tumble after too much Sikaru, landing in his courtyard with a sprained ankle and a story he's still milking for sympathy. You've positioned your mat carefully, but you still sleep lightly, one ear tuned for the kids, shifting too close to the edge. You smirk, imagining a Sumerian safety manual. Step 1, don't roll. Step 2, pray to Enki for balance. Then there's the wildlife. The desert night is alive with scurrying feet, bats swoop low, their wings a soft whoosh, and you've heard whispers of snakes slithering onto roofs, drawn by warmth or stray crumbs. A quirky tidbit: some Sumerians scattered ash around their mats, believing it deterred scorpions, which could deliver a sting nastier than your aunt's lentil stew. You tried it once, but it just made your mat crunchier, so you rely on your crescent moon amulet and a quick scan of the roof before lying down. Historians still argue whether ash was a common pest deterrent or just a superstition for nervous sleepers, but you're not taking chances with a scorpion convention on your blanket. The ladder itself is a hazard. That rickety stack of lashed wood creaks like it's auditioning for a ghost story. And climbing it with your mat and blanket is a nightly test of coordination. You've slipped once, scraping your shin, and the memory makes you wince. You glance at it now, a shadowy silhouette against the starlight, and hope no one needs a midnight latrine run last time. Your eldest nearly toppled it, waking half the street. You chuckle, picturing a Sumerian carpenter's ad ladders so wobbly. You'll pray to Nana for wings. Weather's another wild card. Rain is rare, but when it comes, it's a deluge, turning your roof into a muddy slip and slide. You've scrambled down the ladder in a storm before, mat sopping, cursing the gods for their lousy timing. Your spouse stirs, muttering about Enkidu's borrowed basket, and you nudge them to keep their elbows off your mat. The kids are sprawled, one clutching that frog toy, blissfully unaware of the roof's dangers. You've tucked their amulets tight, a parental reflex against falls or worse. The breeze shifts, cooling your sunburned arms, but you tense at a rustle, probably just a bat. But you squint into the dark anyway. The roof's openness, so freeing compared to the hut's stuffy heat, comes with exposure. You're vulnerable up here to weather, critters, and the occasional drunk neighbor stumbling onto the wrong roof. You think back to that barley offering for Enki, hoping it covers no scorpions and no tumbles. The city's hum is faint now, a dog's bark echoing from a distant street. You adjust your blanket. its patches rough against your skin, and settle back. The mat's jabs a familiar ache. The stars blur, and sleep creeps closer. But you stay alert. One ear on the night's noises. The roof is your sanctuary. But it's no fortress. You're just a farmer, not a priest with a ziggurat's stone walls. And survival means respecting the risks. For now, you breathe deep, trusting the breeze and your prayers to keep the perils at bay. You're lying on your reed mat. The rooftop's cool mud a quiet reprieve as Uruk's night hums around you. The breeze weaves through, carrying the tigress's earthy tang, and the stars above flicker like divine whispers. Your family's snores your spouse's steady drone. The kids' soft puffs blend with the clink of wind chimes, still fending off demons or just irking Enkidu's wife. Despite the risks of falls and scorpions, this rooftop is your haven, a starry escape from the hut's heat. But how do we know so much about Sumerian sleep habits? Let's dive into the clay tablets, those ancient scribbles that reveal how you and your neighbors ended up napping under the Mesopotamian sky. As you shift on the mat, its reeds poking your side. You think of the scribes, those lofty types who scratched the details of Sumerian life onto clay. Historical records, like the cuneiform tablets unearthed in Uruk and Ur, are our window into your world. These palm-sized slabs, baked hard as stone, list everything from barley rations to temple rituals, and crucially, snippets of daily routines. Some describe households using roofs as summer bedrooms, a practice noted in administrative texts managing city resources. You're no scribe, but you've seen them in the market. Their reed styluses flying, recording who owes what to the temple. You smirk, imagining one jotting down farmer owes Enki one good dream for barley offering. A quirky tidbit, some tablets mention roof mats in household inventories, listed alongside pots and sickles, suggesting they were as essential as your trusty bronze knife. One text even notes a merchant fined for stealing a neighbor's dyed mat proof. Your red stripe envy isn't new. Historians still argue whether these records reflect widespread rooftop sleeping or just elite habits, as scribes often focused on wealthier homes. But your cramped roof, shared with your family and half of Uruk's gossip, feels pretty universal. The tablets don't lie, they're like Sumerian Yelp reviews, rating life one wedge-shaped mark at a time. These records aren't just lists, they're stories. A tablet from Ur describes a family fined for blocking a street with their ladder, hinting at the nightly rooftop migration. Another mentions offerings left on roofs. Maybe your barley sprinkled to Enki, meant to appease night gods. You picture a scribe, squinting by lamplight, etching your life's mundane details, your Sikaru cups, your goat's escapes, your wife's basket feud with Enkidu's wife. You chuckle, imagining a Sumerian tabloid. Local farmer's roof nap, disrupted by rogue goat. The tablets also hint at sleep's dangers, like a legal case about a man who fell off his roof and sued his neighbor for distracting him with loud singing. You glance at the mud lip, hoping your own roof stays drama-free. The scribe's work wasn't just bureaucratic, it was sacred. Writing was a gift from Enki, and tablets were often stored in temples, preserved for gods as much as for posterity. You've never held one, but you've seen them in the ziggurat's shadow, carried by priests who treat them like divine relics. They capture the pulse of Uruk, its markets, its feuds, its starry nights. You think back to that chipped house god in your hut, wondering if it's as reliable as those clay records. The breeze cools your sunburned arms, and you adjust your blanket. Its patches rough but familiar. The kids are sprawled, one clutching that frog toy, and your spouse mutters about tomorrow's chores. The tablets don't just tell us about mats and ladders, that they reveal a culture obsessed with order. Even in sleep, Your rooftop ritual prayers, amulets, barley offerings mirrors the scribe's need to catalog life's chaos. You're no priest, but up here, under Nana's moonlight, you feel part of that order, a speck in Uruk's sprawling story. The stars blur, and sleep tugs harder, the city's hum fading to a whisper. You're grateful for those scribes, whose scratches let your world live on. From your sickaroo-soaked porridge to this prickly mat, the roof holds you. The tablets remember you. And for now, that's enough to carry you into dreams. You're stretched out on your reed mat, the rooftop's cool mud a final comfort as Uruk's night settles into a deep, starry hush. The breeze whispers, carrying the tigress's muddy scent, and the stars above glow like scattered embers, lulling you toward sleep. Your family snores, your spouse's steady hum. The kids' soft breaths mix with the faint clink of wind chimes, still guarding against demons or just teasing Enkidu's patience. This rooftop, with its prickly mats and precarious edges, isn't just a Sumerian quirk. It's a tradition that echoes through time, linking your sweaty naps to modern desert cultures. Let's trace the legacy of your rooftop slumber, where ancient habits live on in the quiet corners of the world. Lying here, the mats reads a familiar jab. You're part of a practice older than Uruk's ziggurats, historical records, like cuneiform tablets and later Mesopotamian texts, show rooftop sleeping was a summer staple across Sumer, Babylon, and beyond, driven by the same brutal heat that sent you scrambling up that creaky ladder. This wasn't a one-off. It's a thread woven into desert life. In modern Iraq, Iran, and parts of the Levant, families still take to flat roofs in summer, spreading mats under the stars to escape stifling homes. You smirk, imagining a 21st century Sumerian influencer top 5 roof mats for ultimate desert vibes. The continuity is striking: same heat, same breeze, same starry dreams. A quirky tidbit in some modern Bedouin communities, rooftop sleepers use weighted blankets to mimic the security of Sumerian mudlips, keeping kids from rolling off. You've got no such tech, just that low lip and a prayer to Nana to keep your eldest from sleepwalking. Historians still argue whether Sumerian rooftop habits directly shaped these modern traditions or if desert climates just breed similar solutions. Either way, you feel a kinship with those distant sleepers, centuries away, who'll sprawl under the same sky, dodging scorpions and swapping gossip like you and Enkidu's wife. Your roof, small and crowded, is a microcosm of Sumerian life, practical, communal, a bit risky. You think back to the barley porridge, the Sikaru's sour buzz, the chipped house god you prayed to. These rituals, from amulets to wind chimes, tied you to Uruk's pulse, just as rooftop naps tied you to the desert's rhythm. Modern parallels persist in places like rural Morocco, where families gather on roofs for tea and stories, their laughter echoing your own chats about stolen baskets and shady fig vendors. You chuckle, picturing a Sumerian time travel guide. Visit 2025 Same Roofs, Better Snacks. The legacy isn't just in sleeping arrangements, it's in the human need to find relief, connection, and a sliver of magic under the night sky. The breeze shifts, cooling your sunburned arms, and you adjust your flax blanket. Its patches a testament to your spouse's stubborn sewing. The kids are sprawled, one still clutching that frog toy, and your spouse mutters about tomorrow's market run. You glance at the ladder, that wobbly path to this refuge, and feel a flicker of gratitude for the scribes whose tablets preserved your world, your mats, your demons, your starry naps. Sumer's rooftops may be dust now, but their spirit lives in every desert dweller who flees the heat for a breeze and a view. You're not just a farmer, you're a link in a chain stretching across millennia. As sleep creeps closer, The stars soften, their light a gentle veil over Uruk's hum. The city's pulse fades, leaving only the breeze, the chimes, and your family's warmth. You're safe for now from falls, scorpions, and lamashtus prowling. The roof holds you, the sky cradles you, and the legacy of your nap whispers through time. A quiet promise that humans will always chase the stars for rest. Wind down, now. Let your breath slow, sinking into the rhythm of Uruk's night. The breeze is softer, the stars dimming like embers in a fading fire. Your mat, prickly but familiar, cradles you as the Tigris murmurs in the distance, a lullaby older than cities. Feel the weight of the day lift, drifting upward to join the constellations, where Nana's moonlight weaves dreams of rivers and barley fields. Your family's snores fade, the chimes grow faint, and the roof's cool mud holds you like a gentle hand. You're not just in Sumer anymore, you're part of the night itself, boundless, timeless, safe. Let the stars carry you, let the breeze guide you, and let sleep wrap you in its quiet embrace. Rest now, under the same sky that's watched countless dreamers, and drift into peace.